Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Vanessa Carlton performs live at the Ram's Head in Annapolis, Maryland on March 1st and the Birchmere in Alexandria, Virginia on March 2nd. We spoke about her newest album, Love is an Art, with songs like Future Pain and Died Dinosaur, as well as how her pilot father got her demo tape to a record exec for her breakthrough hit 1,000 Miles.
Hi.
Hey, Vanessa Carlton. Hey, thank you so much for joining us on WTOP in Washington, D.C.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we're talking because you're coming to the Ram's Head in Annapolis, Maryland on March 1st and the Birchmere in Alexandria, Virginia on March 2nd. Two chances for our folks in the D.C. area to come see you. Didn't you just tour with Stevie Nicks? You know, what did you learn from touring with her? Any good vibes and carry over into this tour?
Yeah, all of that, man. That was amazing. So yeah, I opened for Stevie's show last fall. Oh my God, what is time? It flies. And of course, like it's like watching a masterclass, watching that show every night, you know, being able to learn and figure out what you want to pull and take it. And just, yeah, it's really inspirational to get to tour with her. And obviously this tour is like, so that was just me by myself and the piano, which is a little bit terrifying because it was just me and like 15,000 people. And holy crap, like every show I have like an anxiety attack before that never goes away. The nerves never. And once you get out there, it's good, but like it's God. So I feel like that opportunity got me back sort of in the saddle, so to speak. Because I think a lot of performers that I know we've had a weird few years, you know, not a lot of performing, not a lot of connecting to your audience. So I'm just pumped to be able to do these intimate shows again, and just be in the same room as other human beings, like, you know, experiencing music.
I love it. And of course we should tell everyone that it's called the Future Pain Tour, which is a song off your latest album, Love is an Art. I wanted to do a deep dive on the new album, if you don't mind, on a couple of the songs. So we mentioned Future Pain. Talk about sort of the inspiration for that. I guess it's sort of this vicious cycle of self-destruction, nothing to lose, nothing to gain, but future pain, sort of that idea, but you keep doing it. Is that what the vibe is, or what was the message for you?
So uplifting, right?
Right, I know.
So yeah, I think that well, first of all, that song we're gonna play, I love that song, and I never got the opportunity to tour that album, so I thought it was just sort of a cheeky and maybe somehow appropriate title for the whole tour, though I understand that it's not the most uplifting. But I think part of the point is like, I like the idea of feeling like when I go to a show, it just feels like usually like a very safe space for me to feel all the spectrum of things that's going on in my life, the good, the bad, the pain, you know, the joy, and just having that connection of, you know, through humanity with everybody else in that room. So, you know, I think by nature of connecting through music, I think people feel good. And even if you are singing about some stuff that is hard, and it's like, as long as you sort of have a set list that goes through all the realms, I think that I think it just feels like joyful when you leave a show. That's my hope for the show.
Yeah.
Even though it's called Future Pain, I hope when your future after you leave the show is not painful.
Exactly. Well, like you're saying, it covers the spectrum, because there's future pain where you're dealing with sort of, you know, downer, you know, vicious cycle of stuff. But then there's also, I don't know, back to life, which is your body coming back to life after being in the dark, maybe addiction or abuse play. You know what I mean? Like rebirth of sorts. So talk about what you're going through, what you were going for with Back to Life in terms of, are you trying to inspire audiences to find a rebirth?
Well, that song in particular, yeah, I guess that goes nicely in hand with you. The Future Pain song was just about cyclical, like, you know, when you know you're about to make you know that this decision you're about to make is not good for you, but you're going to do it anyway. I think everyone has had that moment, right? So I just wanted to write that song. Mm-hmm. For all people out there that do that too. And then, so Back to Life, though, that particular song, which is also on the last album, Love is an Art, that was about really coming out of a lot of, you know, like drug and alcohol abuse, and really coming back into like kind of breaking patterns, which can, it takes practice to like really break some patterns and like really just come back into the world again in the way that I wanted to. And I, you know, I don't know, I hope that other people can relate to that moment too.
Absolutely. Let's do another one off that album while we're breaking it down. How about The Only Way to Love? And the line is, I want to run, but I won't get very far because the can't fight the force of my young beating heart. So,
Yeah.
just explain sort of, I mean, a lot of people can probably relate to that one, right? Even if they try to leave, they're just so in love or they can't fight that, you know?
The romantics. I love the romantics because God, they're so brave. They're so much more brave than me. But that's for all the romantics out there that really are so honest in their feelings. And I think that you can't be, yeah. That song in particular is about going all in, you know. So I'm not saying that you do that right away, but I think that being someone like, from my own experience, being have gone through periods of being overly protective of myself and distrust, just not trusting of my surroundings and people, and it's always held me back from connection. And really, I think what's interesting about that song too, it's really more about trusting yourself and trusting your, the way that you see people, the way that you, that's what's really about. And that's what allows someone to jump off the cliff and just be like, okay, I'm going to try this with you. Like, let's do this. Like, you know, that feels amazing.
For sure. Well, time for one more on off that album because you've been the three we mentioned are, you know, more like very personal sort of ideas. But Die Dinosaur is, I guess, more of a larger, broader social commentary sort of an idea. At least the way I read it of Die Dinosaur is sort of like young people, young voters, maybe waiting for older, out of touch dinosaurs, the people in power, to die off, so that, you know, the new wave can come through. Is that what inspired you to do Die Dinosaur? I assume. I mean, it kind of needless to be say after the last couple election cycles, right?
Oh, totally. Just the old guard that's like guarding progress, you know. It's not about age. I'm not an ageist. I mean,
Right.
I'm old. Like what, like I feel like a dinosaur myself sometimes, but like it's about
Outdated way of thought.
it's about the way that you think. Yeah. Um, and so yeah, it is. I think we are really on this precipice of a whole new era of um communication and the way that people connect on like, because of the internet. I think there's good and bad. Obviously, it's really difficult for people to decipher between what's true and what's not. That's obviously a fundamental issue at this point, like for sure. But what's the good has been that so many people come together over issues and share situations that allow humanity, I think, to move forward and to solve some big problems. I hope so. I hope that that's the direction that we're moving, because there's a lot of people now. Like popular, like there's a lot of us, you know. We really gotta hone our communication skills, and also think more outside of the, take some risks in our thinking, think more outside of the box. And it's really all about moving forward, you know.
I agree entirely. Well, we're talking so much about moving forward, but real quick, I want to take us back really quick. I want to know your origin. I know you were born and you grew up in Pennsylvania, I guess in the 80s. What sort of stuff did you listen to, or how'd you get bit by the music bug? I want to know if there was, you know, like I don't know, a piano teacher or a song on the radio, you know. I don't know if it's probably never an easy answer like that, but you know what I mean? What sparked it?
Oh God, the 80s, man. I am a dinosaur, aren't I? So, well, my mom is a piano teacher. So she taught me to play the piano, and she ran a piano school out of our house. So there's a lot of pianos that we had and a lot of playing. And I think a lot of the pieces that I really started becoming interested in terms of music were classical pieces. And then she was really smart and would bring in like books, like song books of records that were like a Neil Young record, like you could learn how to play Harvest Moon and you were also learning like a Debussy piece. I thought that was really smart for kids or like Top of the Pops. That was my favorite. It was like a Top of the Pop. So you could learn like the Cheers, like what people, that's what a kid wants to play. But I also love the classical, like there was some really interesting classical stuff that I was learning. And then on my dad's side, in terms of influence, he's just much more straightforward. He was always listening to like Pink Floyd and like, Carole King, Fleetwood Mac. So that was sort of my upbringing musically.
Right, absolutely. So that's cool. So you kind of got it honestly. The parents, it was right there from the beginning with the mom as the piano teacher. Cool. So but then
Yeah.
all right, well then Phil,
Escaping.
you can't escape it, but fill in the gap there between that and when you get signed for, Be That Nobody, your the first big massive album. Like, what did I read that you went to school in New York but dropped out of Columbia to kind of do the singing gig around town thing, or what were those early struggling years, before you got signed?
Yeah, yeah. I was sort of like a very hit or miss waitress for some time there, but really what I did was I mean I was a ballet dancer. When I was 9, I really started studying pretty seriously, and then I moved to New York because I got into the School of American Ballet, which I really wanted to attend that school. I love the New York City Ballet, so I was in that sort of training till I started writing my own songs like with lyrics in my dorm room when I was about 15 or 16. And that's what was the beginning of writing my first record. And then so I sort of just took the route of I'm actually not going to dance at all. After I sort of graduated SAB, I wanted to stay in New York, and I didn't want to join I just didn't want to dance anymore, for whatever, an array of reasons. And then so I started waitressing and sort of pursuing a way to figure out how to get a record deal. And what I ended up doing is, my dad's a pilot and he was very lucky. He was flying someone who was friends with Ahmet Erdogan, and I had made a little like cassette tape, and he gave the cassette tape to Ahmet's friend, and then this guy actually gave it to Ahmet, and Ahmet left a message for me at my dorm when I was in ballet school, and I started meeting with him. And so that was really cool because I think because of his interest, I ended up getting a publishing deal. That was like sort of the beginning of it. Very, very kind of one of those dreamy moments. You know what I mean? But a lot happened after that.
Sure.
And, but that was really just to answer your question, how I sort of jumped from being able to sort of leave my waitering job and then just be able to do music full time and playing shows around New York for sure, like Bitter End. Yeah, Sidewalk Cafe. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, thank you. I know there's always way more to the story, but thanks for distilling it into the major moment. And I promise I'll only ask one question about 1,000 Miles. I'm sure you're tired of talking about it, but it did get you 3 Grammy nominations, Record of the Year, Song of the Year. It was massive. So how much did that change your life? How cool is it that literally anyone anywhere in the world can hear and they'll know the song? I mean, you're part of history with that one. So just how much did it change your life?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think it changed my life forever. I think I'm at a place I'm in a chapter in my life right now in particular where I'm like, it's just like, all right, this has allowed me to have such freedom to really step outside of the mainstream and just take sort of big risks and engage in collaborations I've always wanted to engage in, and just giving me a level of like artistic freedom and room to explore. It is amazing. And then I can always just play that song for people and it brings them, I don't know. It's a weird thing, man. I don't know how that happened. I feel like there's a lot of other songs out there that are like better than that song, but I think it's a piano thing that I'm just very lucky that people chose to love it,
Absolutely. Well, we would be here all day if we went through all your albums. Harmonium, Here's and Thieves, Rabbits on the Run. Is it Lieberman? That was a painting by your late grandfather. Is that right? Lieberman?
Yep. Lieberman.
Okay.
Yep. Lieberman was his original name, and then he changed it because he was a little concerned to have a Jewish name as a shirt designer. So to honor our Jewish history and who we are. On my mother's side, I wanted to highlight a name, bring it back out from the shadows into the light again.
Cool. Well, a second ago you mentioned that it's funny that 1,000 miles was so big because you thought there are better ones you've written. Do you have an example or two? If let's say there's some listeners that only know you from 1,000 miles, which is crazy, but like let's say you want them to give them some homework, like, or fun homework, go to this album or this song, or you know what I mean? Is there something? Where should they start?
I don't know. You know what? I think that I would say a sort of a reset, or not a reset, but like there's like my second chapter started with Rabbits on the Run. Though I do still sound still very young because my voice has really changed as I gotten older, which I've enjoyed that. but I feel like yeah, it's got lower in Liberman, which I love that. So Rabbits on the Run is probably a good place to start. It's a short record. It's all recorded to tape, and I recorded it with Ari Ingber and the drummer Petra Callahan from My Morning Jacket, with Steve Osborne at the helm. And that was like recorded in the English countryside, and then Liberman is like the brain bath meditation, like really cool. Put it on the morning when you have coffee, evening when you whatever, tea, wine, and just a vibey background like that brings you, I think, hopefully affects your mood, makes you calm and chill. And there's some songs on there that I love very much, especially Take It Easy is the first song from Liberman that I love. So, and then, yeah, I'm gonna play I'm gonna cherry pick from those two albums and put those in the set as well.
Great. So we'll hear all of that and some of the hits and all of that, the whole gamut at Annapolis on March 1st and Birchmere on March 2nd. So everybody get your tickets now. Final question I want to ask real quick about the Broadway debut in Beautiful, the Carole King musical. What was that, in 2019? I guess it was right before the pandemic, I guess. But it's sort of, I guess it was sort of I guess similar to like a Sarah Bareilles with Waitress, but this was a musician, Carole King, so it's a natural transition for you, but it had to have been kind of exciting to try a whole different medium. I mean, I don't know if you'd even really done much acting even before that. I don't know. You tell us, but what was it like getting to do Broadway?
Yeah, no, I was so scared. I actually reached out to Sarah because I was like, what am I doing? And she's a musical theater like master and very experienced. And so I was like, help me. And she was like, listen, once you just that first show, when you just jump off the cliff and you're just gonna go. It's just, you just need to jump off the cliff and you'll be good. But it took a ton of preparation. I'd never acted on stage before, and I just really wanted to bring something really natural to that role. Sort of, I know Carole, I don't know her very well, but I had the honor of getting to write with her early on in my career. And I just it was one of the greatest experiences and most challenging experiences of my life. And just to be part of that, that group of actors and singers and dancers, that was the greatest honor. And not just to tell Carole's amazing story, but to be part of that production was awesome.
Absolutely. Well, maybe one day, you never know. Maybe they'll do a Vanessa Carlton musical. You never know.
Oh God.
But the legacy is still left to be written. There's many more chapters before, we get to Carole King territory. But you know what I mean? Like, we're excited to see where you go from here. And Love is an Art is a great next step. But this Future Pain tour, lots of good songs. I'm thankful for breaking down those songs, that album in depth. That was great. Well, thanks so much. We'll let you run. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, it's Ram's Head, Annapolis, March 1st. Birchmere in Alexandria, March 2nd. Right. Vanessa Carlton, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.